welcome back to the yellow dresser. I am Natalie Michelle, and today we are going to be going over the fashion figure. So I really wanted to cover this because I love drawing, and I've always been really curious about how to draw the fashion figure, and it took me so long, and the techniques they're really showing me in school are wonderful. Like, I think it's really helped to polish off things that I just didn't quite understand when I didn't have these techniques. So I wanted to show you these techniques and hopefully be able to help you draw your fashion figure proportions a little more accurately. But before I go into that, I really did want to talk to you guys about the fashion figure, because this is like an industry standard. What I'm about to show you, you really don't have to draw them like this. Like, you can really draw your fashion figures however you want to. It's just the industry has really marketed their fashion figures as like what I'm about to show you. So they're extremely tall. They've got long legs. You know, models always have long legs, which it makes sense because the long legs, you can show off the outfit, garments better. So it makes sense. But you can draw your fashion figures however you want. Me personally, I like to draw mine with long legs, so I will be showing you guys how to do that today. And this technique, it's fabulous because you can really draw them however curvy you want them to. Like, it's not a technique that you're gonna be like stuck to drawing them one specific way. You can really play with the proportions in this technique, which I really like, which I'm glad that I now know this technique. I kind of knew it before, but I never really applied it just because it wasn't solid like I have now. Like, the resources and the schooling that I have now, it wasn't really something that I thought I knew well enough to do, if that makes sense. But I do know it well enough now, and I am so excited to show you guys this technique because, again, you can make the models however skinny, however curvy you want. It really just allows you to play with proportions, and it's a fun technique, honestly, and it helps draw the human figure. It's a great way to, if you're just starting out drawing the human figure or just drawing your fashion templates, this is a great way to get your proportions down and practice this over and over again. That's what I've been doing, and it has really helped, and I hope it really helps you. So without further introduction, let's get to drawing these figures. Alright, welcome back. So this is the paper I'll be using. This is an 18 by 24 inch drawing pad. So it's really big. This is what I've been using for my fashion illustration class because the way they're having us learn these templates, we're drawing them rather big. We're drawing them 12.5 inches tall. So I think when you're starting out, that's a fabulous way to start out, because drawing bigger is usually always easier than drawing smaller. So we're just gonna flip the page, and you can see here I have my practice ones, and then I've got two more practice ones. These are the poses they're having us learn. And then these are my most recent ones. They're having us draw faces. Let me see if I can zoom in. So we're just gonna flip that page one more time so I can show you guys the process of doing this. Here's my eraser. Guys, I can't find my eraser. So I'm back, found the pencil. We're actually gonna give it a sharpen while I explain. So let me see if I can zoom it in just a wee bit more. Move this. All right, we're in business, guys. All right, so this is my ruler that I'm using. This is actually a patterning ruler. I absolutely love these rulers. They're great for adding seam allowance to patterns and just really anything, honestly, because you can see through them, so it just makes things easier. But we are going to draw a line. All right, so we're gonna line this up on the bottom of the paper. We're gonna start at 1. We're gonna go all the way to 12.5. then each one is going to be 1.25 inches. So we're just going to mark it 1.25 inches all the way down. And I will do the math, and I'll do like different sizes, and I'll convert each one unit. So if you didn't want to do a figure that was 12.5 inches big, I will make sure I link some other sizes in there along with each increment for you guys. So make sure you check that out in the description. If you're like, wow, 12.5 inches, that's way too long, way too big, don't want to do it. Okay, all right, so these are your increments. There should be 10 of them. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and here in this top one, 0 to 1, you're going to be putting the head of your person. Then between 1 and 2, that's your shoulders. Then at 4, we put the hips. And 3 is waist. So 6, we've got the knees. Then ankles. And 9 to 10 is your feet. All right, now this is just a basic layout for you guys. Of course, you can play with this, see what makes you comfortable, what proportions you like, and it's just a guide to help you figure out your aesthetic, honestly, because you want your fashion figures and your drawing to represent who you are and your own creativity and identity. So I really suggest playing with these. I will be showing you guys how I am doing them right now, which is, again, it's going to be the very basic of what fashion figures are, because that's what I'm learning in class. And when you do this, when you go to fashion school, they will show you this way. This is the basic way, and you really have to adapt it yourself. You can look at other fashion designers' drawings, and they all look different. They all play with their proportions differently, and it really fits their own aesthetic. But before you can really create your own way of doing things, you have to learn how to do it the correct or the right way, because you have to know how to draw the body before you can play with the proportions. So we're going to use this as the master ruler, and we're just going to draw another one nearby. I'm going to draw one basic one that has just standard, they're not like moving or anything, they're just standing there, and I'll draw one that has a little more movement to it so you guys can see how it changes. So what we're going to do first, we got to draw and what I've been doing for my standard like shoulder width and hip width, I've been doing 3/4 of an inch. You can really do it again however big or small you want it. Don't do it too small though. I would suggest for something this big, just because if you draw it too small, it might look a little funny. So unless that's the aesthetic you're going for, then I say go for it. So this is the shoulders, and then your hip and your shoulder width here should be the exact same length. And I've known that for forever. That is just basic standard drawing. Proportion wise, your shoulders and your hips should be the same width. And if you look in a mirror, it should be like that too if you're very proportional. Now again, the human body isn't always the most proportional out there. So your hips might be bigger than your shoulders might be bigger than your hips. It just depends on your body. But traditionally and proportionally, your hips and your shoulders are the exact same width. All right, and then we draw a little box here, just so we know where to stop drawing, just like that. And then the waist, of course your waist is going to be smaller. I like drawing mine with small waists. I like petite waists. It's just how I draw my figures. Now you might draw them with a more normal waist or very small waist, but so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, I'm going to be doing a little bigger waist just so you can see what is going on the paper. And then from here, we're going to take your waist and draw up into the corners. Just like that. And for your hips, you're going to draw them out. So they're going to curve out just like this. Just like that. And here, your bikini line will go right here. So you're going to want to draw where your bikini line is. Don't forget to leave a gap right here because you do have a crotch. So you need to leave a gap. Just like that. And then what I like to do to keep everything in line is I like to go in the middle of my line right here where my crotch line is. And I try to draw a line in the direction that my feet are going. And I draw them down to where the ankles are because your feet, you don't really need to draw them all the way down for your feet unless you really want to. So I draw them down there and I draw a nice straight line so I know, hey, this is where my feet are going, this is where they're heading, and so I know exactly what I want my figure to do. So for the knees, you're going to want to come in, I would say start on the inside and just work your way down. Just like this. So you make a nice little leg here. And I'll darken it so you can see it a little better. Just like that. And you're going to do that on the other side, but we're going to finish this leg first. Alright. So for the knees, if you look in a mirror or if you just look at your own leg, you can tell that where your knee is. Let me see if I can put my leg under here. Your knee is, it comes out a little bit because you have a calf. So make sure you draw it coming out just a little bit so you can show that there's depth to your person and to your calf. And if you don't like how something's turning out, again, you can just erase it, restart. So this should be somewhat what your leg looks like. And for the top half of your body, so your head goes right here, so we're just going to go ahead and draw the head. Now the head is typically just an oval. It can be whatever your shape you're feeling like. Draw an oval. And your neck should, now classically the fashion figure neck is tiny, just like the rest of everything you're drawing. Now again, you can change it to fit your own aesthetic. I've seen fashion figures with a neck that is like a mile long. So it really just depends on what you want to do. But once you start getting towards the line you drew for the shoulders, you're going to want to curve it out to create a neckline. Just like that. So we're going to be splitting up now the top part, this lower half, right where number 2 is right here. This is number 2. We're going to split that into 3 even sections. So you can guess it, or if you really want to, you can go in there with the ruler and make sure they're perfect. It's really up to you. I am pretty good at guessing proportions, so I'm just going to guess my proportions like that. And then we are also going to be drawing a line right where that number 2 is, because this is where your armpit's going to be. So you can draw a little line here if you want to that curves inwards just to show you where your armpit is. You don't have to if you don't want to or you don't need it, but this just shows you where your arm socket is. So for your elbow comes down to your waist. So if you want to mark it right here, your elbow will come down to your waist, and your wrist will come down to probably around a little higher than, I would say, mid-calf, so maybe around right there is where your wrist would be, and then your hand would drop down here. If you can even measure your own body, you can stand up and see where does your hand lie compared to the rest of the portions on your body. The feel for where your hand should be, you can do that. So I think I'm going to put my hands probably right there. So we're going to finish drawing the other side of my leg. Alright, so now I have my two legs. We're going to go ahead and finish off the leg before we continue on with the top. So for the feet like this are pretty basic. So you're just going to draw like a triangle out from your foot, like this. And then you're going to draw another triangle, and your big toe is on the inside. So you're going to want to make sure that your triangle is more lopsided towards the inside of your body, because your toes, they aren't this straight across. They're usually like rounded. Alright, so we got my feet, and then you can draw a little indent right here if you want to put a toe or something. It's up to you. Alright, so we're going to do the arms. So for your arms, you're going to take it out, and you're just going to drop it, curve it a little bit like this, and then just drop it down to wherever you marked for your elbow. And that'll be your arm right here. And then for the same thing you did down here where you kind of curved it out a little bit, you're going to do for your arm. But again, your forearm is not nearly as bigger as your leg, so you don't want to go out like quite as much as you did for your knee here, but you do want to go out just a little bit, just so you can see that that's where the elbow is. So then we got our arms, and for hands, I kind of do them the same way I do feet, especially for just an outline. I am absolutely trash at hands, so I really just outline them most of the time. So I do the same little triangle I did down here, but I angle it like this, and then my fingers, I just draw out like this, and my thumb I draw in. And so when you have your hand like this, you can see that it curves in on both sides. So that's what I do. I curve it in, go up, and then for the thumb, I curve it in as well to create my hand. My tinky. So that's my hand. Let me erase this just a little bit so you can see it a little better. There's one of my hands, and then I'm going to draw my other hand. These are actually really long arms I'm doing right here, just so you can see a little better. Typically your arms would be a little shorter than this if you're going for proportional, like traditional proportions on a fashion figure. But I want you guys to be able to see it very clearly, so I'm making it just a little bit bigger for my hands and arms. So I'm going to do the same thing, angle it. And there are my hands. Alright, and for your bodice, I like to draw just dark in the sides here. And again, girls, they have busts. So for your bust, if you notice, it comes out of your armpit. So you just above where your armpit is, you want to make a thing, and you're gonna go to your first line that you created right there. And you can make these really however big as you want them to be. And if you can add detail if you want to. I don't think I'm gonna add that much detail for this YouTube tutorial, but I think I will put a little belly button. So there's my belly button. All right, so that is the basic proportions for the fashion figure. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of how to manipulate those proportions to show movement in your character or your drawing. All right, so I have my proportions all drawn out. So now I'm going to show you how to manipulate that a little bit. So I think for this, I'm going to do a figure with their foot and hip kind of kicked out. Hi, Tinky. You're standing on top of my project, huh? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? You gonna say hi to the camera? Huh? You gonna say hi to the camera? Come here, Fluffy. I'm filming. Ugh. Oh, now there's cat fur everywhere. Fluffy. He's Shedding McShedderson. That's what his name should be. Alright, so we're going to draw the person like this. So we're going to elongate their shoulders like this. So if you're angling your hips like this, your shoulders should be like this, and it's the opposite direction. So if your hips are like this, your shoulders should be like this. And you can really exaggerate this however much you want to. And again, you're going to draw your little square like that. And then I always love using this ruler for this purpose as well, because I can make my waist match my hip movement perfectly using this ruler. So we're gonna go do that. So there's my hips. So it should all be going in the same direction. And because your hips are so curved here, you're actually gonna want to kind of draw a line across where your hips would be, and it wants to be about the same, should be about the same length as your one that's angled. And then you're going to throw your hips out. See, this hip is the higher hip, so it's going to be thrown out more than this one. This one's going to be angled more down, and it's going to come out like this because your leg is going to be going out while your other hip is staying stationary. And then we're just going to kind of put a little curve in here because this is where your waist is. And then you can go ahead and draw the lines you did like you did on the other one. So this, you can tell that it's starting to show more movement, and you want your bikini line to match the movement. So this hip is higher than this one, so you're gonna wanna make sure your bikini line matches that. See how this one is higher than the other one? So my leg, this leg is the one that's going out, so I'm going to take my ruler and draw it going out so I know which directions my legs are going. And this one's just going to be going down. So the same technique applies here, but it's just a little different. So your knees typically would be here, but when you are elongating the body like this, your knee's actually gonna drop with the leg that goes out because it's closer or it's further away. So you gotta take your ruler, mark where your other knee should be, and you're gonna drop it just a little bit. You can draw a line. So you can see this is where my knee is right here at the same place that it should be, but this leg, it goes out, and this is where I need to stop it. So we're gonna do the basic leg first. Alright, and then we can do this other leg. So it's the same principle. You're going to take where you're in your corner here, and you're going to drop it down the same way. And as you start to draw this, you can go in and change how it looks till it looks how you want it to look. See how I erased it all the way up to here, and so I could change the direction my leg was going so it looked more natural. And then because your leg is out, you're actually going to see more calf on the inside because it's facing out. So you're going to draw it more calf on the outside. Oh, and forgot to mention, what you did up here will also apply for your ankles, so you're going to want to make sure you include that as well. Oops, getting off track. Alright, we're going to fix this for a little bit. Alright, so there we have our legs, and this foot won't change, so it's going to be the same as your foot you drew over on the other side. But this foot is different. So because it's out to the side, you're not going to draw it just down because it's not proportional, it's not correct. Your foot is off to the side. So what I found works for me is I draw where I want my heel to be. I draw a line in the middle of this tanky. I draw a line in the middle of the circle going angled down. And then I draw an oval. And this is what's been working for me. So then I connect all that like this to create my foot. So that's what's been working for me. You need to really experiment and find what works for you when drawing figures like this. And yes, I'm aware this foot is probably a little bigger than what I would like it. I'm not going to go back and fix it right now. I might go back and fix it later. But we're going to be moving on to the arms. So for this arm, your arms should always, your elbows when you come them out, when your elbows are facing out. So I'm going to be putting my figure's arm on the hip. I'm going to want my elbow to line up with the bottom of my bust. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where my bust should be, and I'm going to take a line and I'm going to extend out that line so I know where it is. And then I'm also going to draw where you also want your armpits to match where your shoulders are going. So make sure you draw that line as well. Just like that. draw the line where your bust should be. All right. So this line is where your elbow will touch. So we're gonna go ahead, and really the rule of thumb that I found that worked best with this is the more out your elbow is, the better it looks. It's just, I don't know what it is, but I tried doing it a little closer and it just didn't look as good as if when I threw the elbow out as much as I possibly could. So put that elbow out there and then touch just like that. And then this arm we're going to be having her come out just a little bit, and then we're going to angle her down just like that. So for here, we're going to go ahead and draw the head so we know where the neck is. And you're just going to extend out. And because your elbow in your arm is going out, you don't want your arm to like go dip like this and go out. You want it to go up and out. And how I found the best way to connect these arms together is to just draw a circle right here where your elbow is and then connect it like this. To create that seamless line. I'll show you how to draw the hand in a minute. And then we're going to go down to where I marked it for my elbow. Just like this. Here's my eraser. Alright, so once you get that done, this hand will match these hands over here. That's just how I want it, so we're going to match it like that. Alright, but this hand, now I am not the best hand expert. I cannot draw truly detailed hands unless I like sit there and I'm only drawing a hand. But I'm getting really good at drawing outlines, so I can show you how to put a hand on a hip like this. So we're going to do a small rectangle or a small triangle just like this. We're actually going to make it a little bigger. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw your fingers. So whenever you put your hands on your hips, you'll notice that your fingers on the bottom are straighter than the ones on top. So that's going to align with this. So we're not going to ignore the knuckle right here on the end of your finger. We're just going to focus on your main knuckle. And we're going to draw it out and then curve it down. And draw your pinky going out like this. And then we're going to take the middle right here. We're going to darken that. We're going to follow your other finger, square the top of it, and kind of curve it a little bit. Not quite, don't make it quite as pointy as the other two. And then you're just going, oops. Then all you're going to do is connect your lines. So round it like this. To create your hand. So there's your hand. That's actually not the best one I've done. Let me show you the best one that I've done. Here it is. This is the best one that I've actually done. You can see that I extended it out like this and curved it because, again, your top fingers are going to be curvier than your ones down here. and I straighten this one out, and then these ones you kind of do in between, so the one up here is going to be curvier than the one down here. So once you go that, and another thing that I actually just forgot to show you guys, if this helps you, you can actually show, since your spine is changing directions, you can mimic that here within that line if that helps you. Since my leg is going out this way, my body is going out that way too. So I would take this and I would draw a line out that extends that way to show that my body is turning that direction. Okay. So now that we have that, we can draw the bust. So your bust is going to mimic the movement of your body, and that is why I drew this line down here to mimic where my shoulders were going. This is my bust line. So I'm going to take right up here where my shoulder is. I'm going to draw it down like this. And like that. Because you want it to mimic the direction your body is going. And then of course, I didn't do this, but you can draw your, if it helps you orientate your body, you can draw your pelvic bone. And that would line up right about there, and here on the body, if that helps you kind of orientate which direction you're going. And then my belly button would probably be right around there. All right, so that is the tutorial on drawing the fashion figure. Again, play with it. Move these directions around. Really find your own aesthetic and feel for what you like and how you like your fashion figures to look, because again, people really draw these fashion figures however they want them. Like I've seen people draw with like no waist. I've seen people draw with like a mile-long neck. People draw with like the longest legs. So it's really up to you and what you find is your aesthetic. But again, you can't really draw the figure unless you know how to draw it correctly. So learn to draw your figure correctly, and then you can draw it to your aesthetic. Alright, thank you so much for watching this tutorial on how to draw the basic fashion figure. Play with it, have fun with it, rewatch this video if it helps you. If you want to see more of my content, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another video. I have videos coming out every week, probably at least one video. I don't do a video every Thursday, but I'm trying to do a video on Tuesday and a vlog every week. So at least 2 videos, if not 1, every single week. So subscribe, come back. I want to see you all again. I want to know what you guys want to see, what fashion design elements you guys are wanting and curious to learn about. Let me know in the comments, DM me, whatever makes you happy. Check me out on social media, and I will see you guys all again in the next video.